Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today I have a few things I want to get done around the gardens. I actually want to make a couple birdhouses for my dried gourds. I want to get my plant starts sorted because some of them have germinated and popped up, and I want to make sure I can thin them down and separate any of the ones that are in one cell together. And I have to get in one of the gardens and clean it up today so that whenever spring does come and I'm ready to put the plants outside, I have a nice clean place to put them. I've been working pretty hard the last few weeks on my homestead channel, getting ready for the goats and the chickens this year. You can see the link down in the description below for all my other channels. But today I need to make a little bit of progress towards beautiful gardens this year. I got the tarp off my greenhouse and we are all opened up. I got my windows hooked back up to the little heat sensing shocks, and they're working just fine this year. So we're all organized in here, ready to start sowing some seeds. I don't know if I'll get to sowing some seeds today, but the greenhouse is ready and I think I can start sowing them in there. We are still having very cold nights down into the 20s. But if I put a small heater in there, I might be able to get the seeds to germinate and come up at that point. I grabbed a couple gourds from the barn that I have drying out up there, and these two are all dry and ready. So I'm gonna get these carved into some birdhouses today so I can sell them in my farm stand this year. If you haven't seen it yet, go over to my homestead channel. During those 3 weeks I've been getting ready for the goats and everything, I also built a farm stand that'll be able to sell some of my chicken eggs and duck eggs there, as well as some other things from the gardens. I'm planning on doing some plant starts, cut flowers, some gourd birdhouses, and maybe some dried herbs, whatever else I can find around the property to maybe throw out there and see if somebody wants to buy it. All right, this isn't too different from carving a pumpkin. What we're gonna do is pick a full size to put the birdhouse door in for. And we usually go with something about 1.25 inches because that is small enough to keep the starlings out, which is a predatory bird. So we're gonna go with 1.25 inches, which is also good for a bluebird. Some of the other birds are like a little bit smaller and you can do that, but 1.25 inches is a good average size. So since I'm selling these, I'm just going to go with 1.25 inches. You want to pick a nice face that the gourd hangs from, and pick a nice flat face for it. Come up at least halfway and give it some headroom and give it some floor space. So you don't want to be in the very bottom or the top. And then you want to set your drill bit to go backwards. Get a nice little hole through there. I'm gonna do the same to this one. Now I'm gonna take a sanding block and sand it all nice and smooth, get some of the dirt off of it and the mold spores. All right, once you get them sanded, you can go ahead and stick your finger in there. Try and scrape away any of the inside structure, some of the webbing in there. And then once you get some of that loose, go ahead and give it a shake. And then start dumping out all the loose debris. I have no idea why this gourd is pink on the inside. That's weird. It's usually white. I don't know why this gourd is pink. Huh. I didn't expect that. Definitely has a pink hue to the flesh, which I never saw that before doing the gourds. If you look in there, it's actually all pink inside. That's definitely different. But you don't have to get it all out. You just want to get enough out that it looks like it's open enough for the bird to get in there. The bird, she'll do most of the work inside. Once you get that hollowed out and most of it out, you can go ahead and dunk it into some water and get it nice and clean. I'll scrub this one up once I get this one all shaken out too. And all these seeds are good. You can save these seeds and grow some gourds next year. These ones are not going to probably grow a true gourd, but just like these ones were grown from a hybrid seed, these seeds will also be hybrids. You might get some misshapen gourds, but that's fine. The birds don't mind. We'll also use a lot of this soft debris as bedding in the nest anyway, so you don't really have to worry about getting it all out of there. Then you just put in some soapy water. Go ahead and just scrub it a little bit. Get it nice and clean because it is covered in mold, so you want to deactivate a lot of those mold spores. What's good about the mold is it leaves a very nice decorative design along the outside of the gourd. So once we actually put a clear coat on this to preserve it outside, that'll bring out a lot of this natural design that you can see with the water on it. We get these all scrubbed up and clean, and then there's a couple more steps before it's ready to hang out for the birds. Echo puppy, you enjoying the beach, buddy? Yeah, it's a nice day for the beach, isn't it? All right, while those gourds are drying for their next step, I'm gonna get my gloves on and head over to the fairy garden to get that garden cleaned up for the new season. So I have this side garden over here on the east side of the property. I call it the fairy garden because I have some future plans to make it into a massive fairy garden with a bunch of different fairy stuff, gnomes, small landscape, just kind of like a miniature landscape where I can have like houses and kind of like a little community of small people. So I have some sedum, hibiscus, barberry, gladiolas, some crocosmia, and Lenten roses, the hellebores. But there's some other stuff in here. I actually have a thuja backdrop. In the back there's 4 thujas that just haven't been able to grow out yet. All my gardens are very young, so they're just getting started, and there's a lot to do to all the gardens around here. We're not going to be planting anything today, but spring is a couple weeks away, so we do have some things popping up in here. We even have some hyacinths popping up right here below the hibiscus, and we already have the Lenten roses blooming beautifully right now. So we have gorgeous blooms coming on the hellebores right now. It's just lush in bloom, so I want to get some of the stuff cleaned away from them so they're a little bit more visible. Shouldn't take too long, so I'll throw on the time lapse and we can knock it out. So I got all the herbaceous perennials cut back to the ground, as well as all the leaves blown out of the stone borderway that we have. There's still a lot of weeding to do, but I just wanted to get a lot of the perennials cut back in this garden. I'll be leaving all the leaves in here, and whenever I come in with a new layer of mulch, I'll just go right over the leaves. They'll add a lot of nutrition to the soil, so there's no reason to take them out. In trying to make this a fairy garden, I do use some solar lights down here, and they just don't last over the winter and the years, so I did have to pull out a bunch of these broken solar lights as well. There's still a lot to do in the fairy garden to turn it into what I want it to be, but I'm picking at it piece by piece, and in the next few years it's going to be a lot different. Now let's check on those gourds. Before we polyurethane these and seal them, we have a little bit more to do to make them ready for the birds. We have to make a few more holes. I have a 1/4-inch drill bit. What I'm going to do is put 3 holes going around the bottom here for drainage, in case wind blows some rain into the hole of the doorway, and the water has somewhere to drain out. You can see all that extra water coming out of it already. We also need a hole through the top here to put a string through so we can hang it. Alright, there you go. Now it hangs from a tree limb or a hook or whatever you want it to hang from. This one, since it doesn't have the neck that this one has, the little skinny head, I wasn't able to drill straight through. Got to use the soldering wire to make a little loop to kind of hook it to bring it back through. But either way, it'll work just the same. Since this one doesn't have the head or the top that this one has, I wasn't able to drill straight through. So I had to use some soldering wire that I used to make Christmas wreaths and stuff to make a little loop to kind of hook it back through to bring it through. But it worked out just fine. So now they are ready to get polyurethaned and then sit out for a good 3 days to get the heavy scent of the polyurethane off of them before you hang them out for the birds. The last thing I want to do today is check on my plant starts to see how they're doing and see if I need to start any more. So I brought the seed trays outside because it's a lot easier to see in the daylight than it is in the purple grow lights. So the first tray here that's doing the best is the Shasta Daisy and the Black-Eyed Susan Rudbeckia. We sowed these on February 6th, so it's been over a month on these and they're really small. The Black-Eyed Susan has the fuzzy leaf. Again, the Shasta is a little bit brighter green. So you can see some of these I need to get in and separate out. So I'll probably separate these into the rest of the cells here that didn't germinate. And then as we move to the second tray, you can see a little bit less germination with the purple cone flower. So these are older seeds. They are over 2 years old. So whenever you're saving seeds, you do end up with less of a germination rate each year. And if you let the cells dry out, you get even less germination. So I think I will be starting more of the purple coneflower echinacea. And then we have some dwarf marigold that never came up. And these were saved seeds from actually me going out and pulling them off my plants. So these ones didn't have very good germination rate either. Oh, puppy. That wasn't good. That's alright, the lupin didn't germinate either. Right beside the French dwarf marigolds, this is all lupin. I don't think it's coming up either. It could be coming up a little bit later, but I don't even have one showing anything. This tray was all larkspur, giant larkspur, and regular mix, but I got nothing on this one either. I have heard that larkspur does better if you do a cold stratification, so I might have to try and put the seed packet in the fridge for a few weeks before actually germinating the next round. This is why I don't really like doing seed starting videos, because you never know what you're going to get, and I'm still learning on all the different types of seeds and how they want to be germinated. So instead of trying to teach you how to do it, I'm just kind of telling you what I am sowing this year, and hopefully I can get them to actually grow and get out into the garden. So I will be resowing these two trays. I'll be resowing most of the cells in this one. Anything that's germinated I'll just leave go, obviously, and then I'll resow all the other cells to try and get another set going. And then this tray I'll do a little bit of plug and play and pulling out the multiples that germinated into the cells that didn't. We got some more seed sown. I filled in all the coneflower that was missing. I plugged out the Shasta daisy here, so instead of having some groups in one cell, now we have one plant in every cell. And then I re-sowed all the blank spaces here of the black-eyed Susan. I did a full tray of Shasta daisy so I could just get more Shasta daisy. That's not going to be enough. And then I wanted to do, this isn't larkspur. And for the last tray, I sowed 36 delphinium, this Pacific Giants mix. So I'm going to try and get some of these for the cut flower garden. And then this tray, I did 36 of the Danish ballhead cabbage from MI Gardener. I'm growing the cabbage not only to eat, but I also have decoration in the flower garden. I just really like the look of a bulbing cabbage in the flower garden, as well as selling some of these starts at the farm stand as well. I'll certainly be talking about the farm stand and what cut flowers and vegetables and stuff I'll be putting out there in this channel, but the farm stand's mainly for my other channel, the homestead channel, where I try and make the money for the property. This channel is more for gardening and creating a beautiful natural paradise to enjoy nature in, and my homestead channel is more for taking care of the animals and creating a more sustainable way to live here in a beautiful paradise. If you enjoy nature, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe down below. You can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Good boy.